Hello everyone, today I'll be drawing Bruce Lee. I already did a drawing of him. I'll show you in the end how I drew him. But this video is about, like all my other videos, the logic behind it. Like, how did I approach it? What am I thinking of when I'm drawing Bruce Lee? Alright, cool. So I have a couple of images up here where I'm looking at Bruce so you guys can see. It's on my Google. Just randomly pulling them up there just so I can get an idea. I don't really like to zoom into any one of them. I like getting my impression. I just want to cover a little bit about the way I draw caricatures. I don't draw caricatures like everybody else. I actually gave up. When I learned to give up as a caricature artist, I learned to be the caricature artist that I am today. For an example, when people draw, give me a second. So as a caricature artist, you're taught to draw, well, I was taught to draw. Taught or influenced to draw the eyes first. Okay. Right here, you can make or break the drawing. Either it looks like them or it doesn't. Whoever it is you're trying to draw, okay? Then you're stuck with the drawing. It doesn't look like them. 20 minutes into doing something looks nothing like them. But also, too, it's kind of stale in terms of expression. Also, there's a tendency when you're drawing someone, like if I, draw a person. And you have a person here in front of you. There's this tendency to look at your paper a lot and then look at the person, and you're going up and down. Your head is going up and down, up and down, up and down, making sure you're observing that person right and you're drawing things right. It's a constant checks and balance. And I couldn't draw this way. I couldn't do this and I couldn't do this. So I gave up drawing caricatures. I was just like, well, I'm no good. I guess I'm not good for this. I did it for 4 years and I didn't get it. So one time I went to a museum and I learned about Impressionism. There was this weird fuzzy drawing or painting of a tree, and it wasn't fully rendered. It was just this fuzzy looking thing. And this guy came up to me and says, "Do you know what you're looking at?" And I said, "No, I don't get it. What is this?" He says, "If you see the one on the right, it was this beautifully illustrated tree." He goes, "The one on the left was his impression of it." And I go, "Oh." He goes, "The idea is not to get caught up on the details, just get your impression." Once he told me that, I understood how to draw caricatures. So what I started doing then was,
Power off.
when people would sit in front of me, I would just take a snapshot in my head, boom, that's it. And then I would just do one first go of the drawing. I would get my impression of that person in here. You see that? And so the first drawing sucked really bad, but it helped me understand drawing a little better. And I don't have a photographic memory. And that worked out. It worked out. I was able to grab my impression of people once, and it made me go faster, made me trust what I understood and where I didn't understand things. An example of that is, wait, one more thing. Then there was expressionism. Expressionism is what it sounds like. It's things that are expressive. There's this famous drawing of this guy screaming, right? Once I did impressionism, expressionism followed. And this is what I mean. So let's say I'm drawing President Donald Trump, right? So I'm going to draw my impression of him. I don't have photographs of him in front of me, but my first impression is to draw the hair coming from the back of his head. Kind of what I'm thinking is the origin of that hair must be coming from the Constitution. I'm not quite sure. And then I don't know why I'm drawing his hair first, but that's what stands out to me. That's my impression of him, you see? And I really need to draw the back here, And it makes me want to draw little whimsical hairs, I guess. Maybe his style is screwed up, I don't know. Now the next thing I want to draw is his mullet, right? He has a mullet. That's my impression. Now, the second thing I want to draw are those eyebrows. And that's what I mean by impressionism kind of just follows, because I'm already getting an expression out of it, right? Look at that. My impressionism led to my expressionism. It's weird. Either I'm getting this whole thing wrong, but this is how it worked out for me. Like I said, I had quit the old way because I didn't understand it. And I stopped being a caricature artist. But before I stopped, I thought I'd give it one more shot. Okay, and then I'm going to draw his cheekbones, right? Then I'm going to draw his jaw, because his jaw to me is a big key to the way he makes me feel, because it leads to this neck, this thing here, that thing, like there's like a toad-like thing going on with his neck, right? And then his suit. Notice I haven't even drawn the eyes first. I haven't even drawn the eyes yet, or the mouth, or anything. But this is my impression of him. And like I said, my impression is leading to my expressionism. And then his mouth is like this, right? You've seen my drawings of Donald Trump. I've put them up there. And it makes me want to do stuff like this where, because I haven't drawn the eyes yet, it makes me want to draw his hands doing stuff, or then his eyes are less. See? And it's crazy how that set me up to getting expression out, by leaving the eyes out, But learning to draw using your impression of things, it definitely leads you to a vulnerable state in your drawing. What I mean by that is, if you can't draw off the top of your head, right? I learned to draw off the top of my head. But really what we're talking about is, when I first started the first time with my impression, I realized why my drawings were so bad. I kept looking up and down, because I was copying like a photocopy machine. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start drawing the people that I'm familiar with, which is my family. So I started drawing my sister, and this is what my sister looks like. And I look just like her. And what I thought was fascinating is how simple these drawings are. Then I started looking at these, and I'm like, I had the habit when someone was in front of me, if I would draw their ear, it would be like structurally correct. Make sure all these little wrinkles are there or whatnot. And if they had hair from the back, I would like try to match it. But if I'm doing impressionism right, it's not about matching. See? It's about getting my impression of it. And I didn't get that. So when I was drawing off the top of my head, I realized that I was dependent on symbols. So I started making like a symbol chart. So hair. Let me draw some heads. Okay, let's draw straight hair. And ears are a big part. Ears actually help out a lot. So this is what I mean. So I'm gonna draw straight hair. I only did 3 lines. Straight hair. If I don't draw ears, then I have like, it looks like a cap. So then I started realizing how important ears are. It gives hair more personality when it's wrapped around something. You see here, like you can already tell what a difference that is. Okay, then I started realizing how important the actual neck is. So let's draw some ears. Let's Draw some neck. Now check this out. I'm going to tuck the hair back here. And then you can actually go darker to frame the hair a little better. Look. Then it felt like I was going back to school again. Like I am rediscovering my understanding of drawing. And if I go darker, it just looks like it's wrapping around the neck. This is all for me not observing people anymore, by getting my impression of things and understanding what it is I do. And I realized that once I started exercising my impression of things, what surfaced up was how much I actually understood things. The funny thing is I was able to draw anything well by looking at it. What exposed what I didn't understand is caricatures, because in the end my drawings didn't look like anybody. But my impression was making it look like them. It was like the opposite. Like I kept looking at people and it would look, and I would get close sort of, but I would nail the drawing. It would be a beautiful drawing and really rendered. But then when I did my impression and I stopped looking at people, my drawing suffered, and what was left is what I understood. And it turned out I understood very little. So I went back to square one and I started just doing like I said, curly hair. So if we're gonna do curly hair, let's give me little rolls. Let me draw the neck. That's the ear. See? And that's curly hair or scrungy hair. It could be whatever you want. Then I just started experimenting with hair in general. Like, what kind of attitude can I give hair, or what does it look like when it's over the shoulder? So then I just started making like a vocabulary of hair and of eyes. Check it out, even with like a flat top. You can either draw it like this, and these are options you're giving yourself, like a toolbox, like, you know, like you're giving yourself tools. Like when someone with a flat top shows up, I can either draw them like this, okay, and draw their eyebrows. Okay, or you can draw it like this. Draw a little bowl on the top. All of a sudden, that felt more flat than that. It's so weird. And so then it made me realize how subtle you can actually be to get an effect, you know? So I thought that was very fascinating about drawing what I understood. And with that being said, so I kept going. I started drawing more of my family members. So like my brother looks like something like this. And it's just interesting when you draw off the top of your head, because you are left with what, like I keep saying, what you understand. But I noticed that it's very symbol based. So my brother looks something like, he has wild hair. Cookie eyes. Now this sort of looks like him, kind of looks like him, but that's okay. I'll just keep working the drawing. And then the funny thing is, it makes me want to look at my brother one more time, see? But it's cool because it's almost like you're starving your brain. You want to starve your brain from information. Because if your brain, let's say this is your brain, your eyeballs, if you give it a thing here in front, it'll always examine it back and forth, 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 back and forth. That's how people draw. But if you have your brain here and you take away this thing and there's nothing, the cool thing is then your brain is left with the impression of that thing, so it is forced to use itself on all the little wrinkles. Like, now it has to depend on what it understands. And that's cool. And that's a muscle. You know, it's almost like anything. When you start working out, your biceps this small, but once you keep using it, your bicep becomes bigger, right? Same thing with the muscle. I mean, the brain's a big muscle, and if you keep exercising this, it'll nurture it. And you want to, and you starve your brain enough, it, you make it a powerful thing. So this is my logic in drawing. I know I was talking about Bruce Lee. I never got to draw him, but I thought it'd be insightful to explain to everybody how I'm doing it, because sometimes I get comments like I'm doing it wrong, or that's not how it's done, and and I absolutely agree with everyone. I'm doing it completely wrong the way everyone does it, completely wrong. But I have given up a long time ago. I gave up being an artist. I didn't succeed really well as a caricature artist, but it's only when I gave up that I learned how to do the stuff. I had different ideas, and these different ideas led me to making this channel and drawing. And yeah, uh, that's how I learned to draw. And the funny thing is, I didn't even know it was called Impressionism. I didn't even know. I didn't understand Impressionism, and I didn't get Expressionism, and I didn't get any of that stuff. But it was only until I failed caricatures that I understand the stuff. Because I guess I was desperate. I was desperate, and I think maybe I had to go through 4 years of drawing bad so I can understand how to draw well. But this is my journey. And I think anyone who's watching this channel and wants to be a caricaturist or learn to draw, in my opinion, you have to learn how to learn. You have to learn how to learn. This was works for me. You have to find out what works for you. And for me, it was quite the journey. It was 4 years of drawing terrible, but maybe I had to go through that so I can appreciate an impressionist's point of view. And it led me to a big rabbit hole of where I'm at today. And now drawing is a joy because I'm able to just, draw. And it made me realize that, you only have what's in your head. So I like, for an example, like a nose. I'm not looking at a mirror. I'm not looking at images. Like, what do I understand about noses? Seriously. And it makes you think about like the essence of what a nostril is. Like, air literally goes inside that hole. You get a newfound appreciation when things aren't in front of you. There's almost like a stillness and a loneliness to this, and there's something fragile about being starved of information, And I know there's a little triangle here. Little shadow. I know we got lips. I'm just mimicking the way I started drawing in the beginning, just the very first time. Just, this is what I understand. And believe me, once you do these enough and you look at somebody's lips, your brain gets so happy, like, ooh, information. That's the way it really is. And your powers of observation is a little different because you've starved your brain from information. And drawing eyebrows like that didn't work out for me, because if you look at the actual shape of it, this is the shape. But once you start learning about shapes, it can be a pretty powerful tool to express yourself. Like if I, again, using Donald Trump as an example, if I didn't render anything and I just had a bunch of shapes, these are the shapes I think Donald Trump has right here. See? It's interesting, isn't it? And the thing is that when you learn basic shapes, you can actually structure it. If you know structure, you can draw like little nostrils here. You can put some anatomy here. Draw the teeth, put some gums there, little tongue. Draw a little rendering here. Draw some cheekbones. Maybe give a little bit more definition to the hair. Draw his ears and then render it. So you can use this as a foundation to your drawing. This is just a bunch of shapes. And so what it made me do is be more shape oriented when I draw and not be so concerned with this. Like, it's very tempting because I enjoy drawing eyebrows like this. See how nice that looks? I freaking love it. When I draw eyes like this, then you go, I call it flaring. See? It's so like soothing to see. But the truth is, when you boil it down, it doesn't have very good design. See the eyelashes? It does this as a design. If you were to give it better design, for me, you would do this. See? That's better design. And the way this translates to drawing and rendering, it's like this. So we know now this has to be smaller and bigger, so it'll go smaller, bigger. See? You know what I mean? Now you see the difference, how weird this looks. And then as for eyebrows, like if you gave yourself good design, see, then you can render it. All right. Well, I hope you liked my spiel on drawing. And just to recap everything, my philosophy of this whole thing is, one, I quit. It was 4 years of drawing at a theme park, and I failed miserably. It were nice drawings, but it didn't look like anybody. So when I quit, I went to a museum and I looked at some impressionistic painting, and some guy told me what impressionism was. So then, that was step one. I quit. Step two was that impressionist painting, and then three, it led me to surfacing up, just depending on my brain on my own, no observing. And I was left naked, really, like with what I understood, which was very little. And then fourth, I built that thing. I built it. I made a big library of stuff like we talked about. You know, I built a big library of stuff, and then when people sat in front of me, and I drew it so quickly, it made my own head spin, and I ended up being really quick, and things worked out for me. Yeah, so there it is. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. I hope you enjoyed the talk. If you guys want to know more about little stories on how I learned to draw and learn my own philosophy, and just let me know. Good luck to everybody. And again, the idea is you learn how to learn. And this is how I learned how to learn caricatures, how to draw caricatures. All right, thank you. Bye.